I stepped into a world so bright, where shadows whispered in the light. A girl with nothing, chasing dreams, where nothing is quite as it seems.
I'll never forget my first morning at Silver Crest High School. The city was already awake, streets alive with the roar of cars, the chatter of people, the hurried steps of students heading to school. From the bus window, I watched the skyscrapers glimmer in the morning sun and felt a knot in my stomach tighten. This was a different world from the one I'd grown up in, a world of wealth, confidence, and effortless ambition. When I stepped off the bus, my worn backpack digging into my shoulders, I could feel the eyes on me. Not just a glance, but the kind of stare that says, "Who let you in here?" "Who's that?" I heard someone whisper behind me. "Scholarship girl," another said. "She doesn't belong here." I ignored them. I'd learned long ago that people stare when you're different, when you might succeed. And then I saw her, Vanessa Cole. She stepped out of a black luxury SUV, tall, elegant, every movement calculated, every hair in place. She glanced at me and her lips curled into a faint smirk. In that instant, I knew. This girl would make my life difficult, whether she realized it or not. And so, my battle began. Not with fists or words, but with persistence, intelligence, and resilience. The classroom smelled of chalk and polished wood. Rows of students sat neatly, polished shoes tapping lightly on the floor. Mr. Adeyemi, our math teacher, wrote a complex equation across the board, his movements precise. "This question is advanced," he said. "Only those who understand it can solve it. Who wants to try first?" Vanessa's hand shot up immediately. Her confidence was effortless, and the whispers of her friends followed her like shadows. I sat quietly watching. Then when she gave a small glance at me, I raised my own hand. "Sir, may I try?" I asked. The class murmured. Vanessa rolled her eyes. The air felt thick, heavy with anticipation. I walked to the board, chalk in hand, and solved the equation step by step. The room went silent. Every student's eyes were on me, every heartbeat loud in my ears. "Excellent work, Amara," Mr. Adeyemi said, his voice steady, approving. I returned to my seat, my palms still sweaty. Vanessa's smirk had faded. The first confrontation had already begun, but silently. By lunch, the whispers had followed me to the hallways. I opened my locker, organizing my books carefully, and then out of nowhere, Vanessa and her friends appeared. "You're the new girl, right?" Vanessa asked, her voice calm but sharp. "Yes," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "Let me give you some advice," she said, leaning slightly closer. "Silver Crest isn't for people like you. Stay invisible, or you'll make powerful enemies." "I'm just here to study," I said, and I meant it. Her smirk was faint, but it was there. The challenge had been issued. I would not back down. Lunchtime. I chose a quiet table at the edge of the cafeteria. My lunch wasn't fancy, just simple, like I was used to. Across the room, groups of students laughed and whispered. Vanessa and her friends watched, their expressions sharp, calculating. Daniel Parker sat nearby. I'd noticed him before, quiet but observant, always standing a little apart from the crowd. He caught my eye and offered a small nod. "Don't let them get to you," he said softly. "I'm used to it," I replied, shrugging. "Then show them who you really are," he said, his voice gentle but firm. I smiled faintly. For the first time that day, I felt a tiny spark of comfort. Maybe I wasn't completely alone. The end of the day found me on the rooftop, books scattered across the floor. The wind picked up, rustling the pages as I tried to focus. Daniel appeared quietly, taking a seat beside me. "They'll try to break you," he said, "but you're stronger than they think." "I've had stronger enemies than this," I said, my voice steady, but my mind racing. The sun was setting behind the city skyline, painting everything gold and orange. I felt the weight of the day pressing on my shoulders, but also the stirrings of determination. I could survive this place. I would survive. And that's when I realized The city, the school, even Vanessa Cole, they could try, but they could never take my mind, my spirit, my will to succeed. Over the next few days, the whispers followed me. I learned quickly that being brilliant in Silver Crest was a crime. The day Vanessa and her friends sabotaged my locker, I knelt to pick up the scattered books, students laughing and filming. Daniel came immediately. "You don't deserve this," he said, helping me gather the books. "I didn't come here to be liked," I said, brushing off the humiliation. I noticed a few students staring from afar, some curious, some cautious. Ngozi, Adaobi, and Samuel, my allies, watched from the edges, ready to help if needed. Their quiet support reminded me I didn't have to fight this alone. Weeks passed. I studied tirelessly for the National Scholarship exam, unaware that Vanessa was plotting. One night, she sneaked exam papers from the printing office and planted them in my locker. The day of the exam arrived. Security stormed in mid-test. "Amara Okafor, stand up," the principal said, holding the papers. "These were found in your locker." Shock froze me. Whispers, cameras, phones, all recording. I felt utterly alone. But Daniel's calm presence reminded me, truth has a way of coming out. I had to stay strong. Daniel reviewed the security footage that evening. Vanessa's plan was exposed. A friend of hers confessed. The principal's eyes widened in shock. The next assembly was tense. Students watched, waiting for judgment. "Amara Okafor has been proven innocent," the principal announced. Vanessa stood ashamed. I walked forward. "I forgive you," I said. Claps echoed across the courtyard. Some students were ashamed, some inspired. Graduation day arrived. I received my National Scholarship certificate, walking toward the city skyline, my backpack over my shoulder. Daniel and my friends cheered. I came with nothing, and I leave with everything I earned. Resilience, intelligence, courage, and no one, not wealth, envy, or cruelty, can take that away. Amara, the city could try to break me, but I was the one who survived, the one who stood tall. I am Amara Okafor, and this is only the beginning. The weeks after my first day were relentless. Every step I took through the halls of Silver Crest seemed to draw eyes, some curious, some resentful. Vanessa had made it her mission to remind everyone that I was an outsider, that I had nothing to my name, that my intelligence was somehow a threat. Tina, Kioma, Femi, and Precious, Vanessa's inner circle, laughed behind my back, whispered as I passed, and once even blocked me near the lockers. "Don't think you belong here," Tina said, smirking. I looked at her calmly. "I belong wherever I work for it." The words seemed to surprise her. That was the thing about me. I didn't react with fear. I reacted with focus. I walked past them, my head held high. Amara. Every sneer, every whisper, every shove only reminded me that brilliance can be dangerous, but not impossible to wield. Lunchtimes became minefields. Students crowded in tables, whispering about me. Vanessa and her friends often made a show of ignoring me while throwing subtle insults. I sat with Daniel, Ngozi, Adaobi, and Samuel, quietly forming my own little safe corner. "Don't let them get to you," Daniel said. "Every insult they throw is a sign they're afraid of what you can do." I nodded. Then I'll just have to keep proving them wrong. Amara, the war had begun. Not with fists or words, but with endurance, intelligence, and resolve. I wouldn't be the girl they could destroy with laughter or whispers. Rooftop. Study and strategy. The rooftop became my sanctuary. Books spread across the floor, wind moving the pages. Daniel joined me often, keeping silent company. "I can't wait for the day they realize you're untouchable," he said quietly. "They'll try," I said, "and I'll be ready." The city skyline glimmered around us, lights twinkling as the sun dipped behind the skyscrapers. I felt a surge of calm determination. I would not be broken. I didn't know it yet, but Vanessa had started plotting more aggressively. Exam papers, whispered lies, and subtle sabotage were all part of her plan, and the more I excelled, the more furious she became. Amara. Envy is loud, but truth is louder, and someday everyone would hear it. The scholarship exam was approaching. I had prepared tirelessly. studying every night, often under the faint glow of my rooftop lamp. Then came the day I discovered the betrayal. Security stormed into the exam hall, phones pointed at me. Students whispered frantically, "Amara Okafor, stand up. These answers were found in your locker." Shock froze me. My chest tightened. I had worked so hard, and now the world thought I had cheated. Amara. For the first time, I felt the weight of isolation. Every whisper, every glance, every phone recording felt like it was meant to crush me, but I wouldn't let it. Daniel's calm presence beside me reminded me that truth had a way of surfacing. I just had to survive long enough for it. Rooftop night of despair. That night, I went to the rooftop, city lights glittering below. I allowed myself a moment of tears. Daniel joined me, sitting silently. "I believe you," he said softly. "I've worked my whole life to prove myself," I whispered. "And now, this, Amara." It was the loneliest night of my life, but also the night I promised myself I would not break. I would fight with everything I had. Daniel reviewed security footage and caught Vanessa sneaking near my locker. The janitor confirmed seeing her. A friend of Vanessa's finally confessed. The next assembly was tense, the air thick with anticipation. "Amara Okafor has been proven innocent," the principal announced. I stepped forward. Vanessa stood, her face pale. "I forgive you," I said, calm and resolute. Claps echoed across the courtyard. Some students were ashamed, some inspired. "Amara, forgiveness doesn't mean weakness, it's strength." And now I could finally breathe again. The day of graduation was bright, full of laughter and nervous excitement. I received my national scholarship certificate, walking toward the city skyline, backpack on my shoulder. Daniel, Ngozi, Adaobi, and Samuel cheered from the crowd. Vanessa and her friends sat quietly, humbled. Amara, I came with nothing. I leave with everything I earned. Knowledge, resilience, courage, and the understanding that no one, no wealth, no envy, no cruelty, can take your mind and spirit away. I am Amara Okafor, and this is only the beginning. I returned to the rooftop one last time. The wind rustled my papers and I smiled faintly, watching the city below. Amara shifts. The city tried to break me, but I was the one who survived. I was the one who stood tall, and now I am unstoppable.
I stepped into a world so bright, where shadows whispered in the light. A girl with nothing, chasing dreams, where nothing is quite as it seems. They try to break me, try to hide my fire, whispers and shadows fueling their desire. But I've walked alone through storms before. I'll rise, I'll fight, and I'll soar. I am unbroken, I am strong. Through the darkness I belong. Every challenge, every fall, I'll stand taller than them all. I am unbroken, hear me rise. City lights reflect my eyes. No fear, no envy, no disguise. I'll shine forever in the sky. They laugh, they whisper, try to dim my flame, but I've learned their words won't shape my name. With friends beside me, heart so true, I'll show the world what I can do. They try to break me, try to hide my fire,